And so the people are dying, but I wanted to ask you, do you know what companies, because it doesn't say in the mainstream news, what companies it is that the shots are killing people in these tests in Europe?
Well, I think all the companies that are making the bird flu vaccine are actually testing people to see if it does kill them. I think that was the intention, for them to test this vaccine in the homeless people. And by the way, yes, it's in the mainstream media in the UK, telegraph.co.uk, certainly not in this country. But I think they're doing these tests to specifically see how well the vaccine is working. That is the intention, for them to kill people. As a matter of fact, on March 4th of 2009, and let's remember that the Baxter release was reported on February 27th. So this is like a week later. They had a conference, an emergency management summit agenda that took place in, I believe it was Colorado, yes. And this is what one of their minions, a PJ Havis Cover, mental health professional and program coordinator, stated that community memorial services are very important. When you're talking to people, voice your appreciation for those in quarantine. Talk about how they're hometown heroes and doing what they need to be doing in order to protect the community. So they're already telling people, get ready for quarantine. So obviously the people within the government's FEMA type of organizations already know what's coming.
My God. And what is the source of that bombshell you just dropped?
Citizens for Legitimate Government. www.legitgov.org.
No, I know who they are. They're saying they were at the meeting and are reporting this?
Yes, that's what they're reporting this in this article that I have.
Well, I know I know we've had reported here that emergency managers in Illinois and Indiana are being told, get ready for mass graves, get ready for mass death, bird flu. That was just 3 weeks ago. I'd forgotten about that big report that we covered here on air. And we know they're constantly hyping this, but they tried to claim smallpox was about to be released in 2002, tried to make the police take it. They refused. So, my issue here is that when you pull back from all of this and you know that there's been tens of thousands of declassified chemical, biological, radiological, lethal tests, not just syphilis and Tuskegee that everybody knows about, but biologicals in the New York subways, death results, details remain classified. That's mainstream Reuters, AP. Spring, the ship channel in San Francisco killing people, plague bombs released in Scotland killing people, headlines, every square inch of England's been sprayed with chemical, biological, radiological, London Guardian. It's all in Endgame when you know they took U.S. troops, radiated them to death, gave them biological weapons, injected them with sarin and VX nerve gas to kill them, and then told their family they died in a car wreck or died of flu. And we know they brought the Nazis over here because the Nazis got the idea from us. So the scientists then wanted them after World War II and brought them here to not just, head up NASA, but head up the CIA, everything else. That's declassified, tens of thousands of Nazis. This is eugenics. You got top professors running around in biology departments saying soon it'll all be airborne. 90% of you will die, including my family. Oh, it's so wonderful. Like 13 monkeys. The point is that these psychos have done this over and over again, and now they're messing with stuff that could release the mega plague.
Well, exactly, and this is all being done intentionally under Title 50 of the U.S. Code. Go to your local library, folks. Look up U.S. Code, Title 50, Chapter 32, Section 1520 and 1524, where the Department of Defense can use human subjects for testing of chemicals.
And by the way, people don't know how to read that. They pull up U.S. Code Title 50, U.S. Code Title 50,
Chapter 32.
Yeah, subsection 1528, paragraph B. Correct.
Right.
Okay, I've got to get in the brain focus to bring that up. In there, it says you're not allowed to do it without consent unless it's for government testing, and then list other things. And people read it and say, it says they can't do it, except for whenever they want.
Well, actually, it's very funny because the initial one was written in the 1960s, and I actually learned about this on C-SPAN. A caller called in, and of course, C-SPAN has millions of listeners. And so in April of 2000, they repealed it. But just like they always do, what they did is not only loophole it back in, but actually add things. They that there's restrictions on the use of human subjects for testing of chemical or biological agents. Here are the exceptions. Any peaceful purpose related to a pharmaceutical, agricultural, industrial, or research activity, any purpose directly related to protection against toxic chemicals or biological weapons, or any law enforcement purpose, including riot control. So they loopholed everything back in and then added the riot control aspect on there.
That's right. And then just like folks call up and say, oh, this isn't real from the state police, you can just call them and they admit it, and we have. It's not real. And, oh, that U.S. code's not real. Nah, the Patriot Act, doesn't say that all misdemeanors are terrorism, and have top lawyers on and they admit it on air.
Yes, and I also just want to remind the listeners, and this is something that you might want to consider putting in your Obama Deception 1.5 in regards to what's happening with the economic stimulus package in terms of extra money now. We have $954 million that's going to be used as an additional amount to carry out the immunization program authorized by Section 317A, J, K, and K1 of the Public Health Service Act. So not only are they going to be spending almost $1 billion for more vaccines, but they've also allocated over $500 million to carry out chronic disease, health promotion, and genomics programs. So they're actually playing with our very DNA structure. This is my idea of the true mark of the beast, that they're going to be injecting us with things that's going to alter our very genetic structure. And this could cause the extinction of the human race. This is no joke.
By the way, a lot of top scientists and headlines have admitted that mercury itself alters DNA permanently, even mitochondrial, passed on by the mother, and that all of these things are actually downgrading and destroying our DNA. And now they've got this whole new level of that they call vaccines that are really genetic engineering mutagens, where they say, oh, you'll take a shot and you'll never be able to get high off cocaine again. But then they admit in the literature, but you won't be able to have your regular endorphins and be happy. And the viruses go in and eat certain areas of the brain. And I tell people that, and they just don't understand. Can you talk about those class of live biological agent vaccines that redesign organs?
Yes. Well, first of all, let me say that every single thing that's in a vaccine, every single product, like you said, the mercury, the formaldehyde, every single thing that's in the vaccine does its own damage. In fact, I had talked to somebody on my internet radio show who had worked in the the Air Force, and or something to do with airplanes, and he reported that you're not even allowed to bring mercury on an airplane because the reaction it will have with aluminum is so violent that it can burn holes in an aluminum plane. So people could ask themselves, why are they putting mercury and aluminum together and injecting it directly into your bloodstream? As a matter of fact, I have another NATO book entitled Immunological Adjuvants and Vaccines. In this book, which was published in 1989, they actually admit that it's the aluminum in vaccines that causes the production of IgE, which is the antibody of allergy. So they have known all these years that all of the allergies being produced, including the life-threatening and oftentimes fatal anaphylactic reactions from peanuts. You have little children in school sitting next to a child that's eating a peanut butter sandwich, and just smelling that peanut butter can kill them.
Yeah, nobody was allergic to it 50 years ago. Now It's now almost every food, people can't eat it.
Exactly. And not only
and by the way, even if you don't take the vaccines, other kids are leaching it out onto your kids.
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, most of these outbreaks of measles and such that the media is using as a hype to scare people to get vaccinated, when you read between the lines, you find out that almost all those children got the measles vaccine.
Well, they know with everybody that has Crohn's disease that didn't exist till 50 years ago with vaccines, they find the antibodies from different vaccines they've been given in their guts, causing an autoimmune disturbance where the people then basically have to have their intestines cut out. But it's enjoyable. The government loves you. The full magnitude of all this just slammed me like a ton of bricks during the break. Just boom! That happens, a couple times a week when the full magnitude, even though I constantly study this, just punches me like a freight train. Bam! And I realize psychopathic eugenics elites are in control of the planet, putting sodium fluoride in the water and hundreds of other toxins and poisons, genetic engineering, spraying, genetic engineered food that kills the rats and guinea pigs they test on, mutations that only supposed to happen embryonically, happen after birth, mass illnesses, children sick, cancer exploding at every level, SWAT teams, FEMA camps, demonization of patriots, world government rising, openly saying once they have the world government in place, they're going to start killing billions at a time, mass wipeouts. We were right about the whole setup of this. Do you want to wait and have the rest happen? I don't even know if we can stop it. God help us. And they could launch this any day, or it could happen 5 years from now. You know, the big kill, not just the soft kill buildup as they're testing all of this. Dr. Rebecca Carley, I want to come back and start taking calls for you. But give out your website again for folks, and please continue with the analysis you were breaking down.
Okay, it's www.drcarley.com. And I totally agree with you, what you were saying in your previous segment, Alex. The good news is people are waking up big time. They realize that they are dead meat if they don't rise up. But I just want to finish the thought that you were talking about the autoimmune aspect, because this is so huge, folks. It's not just the viruses. They are culturing these viruses on different tissues. More and more now they're using aborted fetus cells. So if you're injected with an aborted fetus's nervous system tissue, you will develop antibodies against that nervous system, and those antibodies will attack you.